What's up, guys? Jay, MorninAfterKill, and today I got some real talk that I want to lay down for y'all motherfuckers, because the other day I had to go back home for a funeral, and for the first time in over 15 years, everyone I knew from back around the way was together again in one place. Well, most of them anyway. A few people have died over the years, a couple are locked up in jail, but for the most part, everyone I knew from back around the way was together again in one place, and it felt nice to see them again. And even though it's still a funeral and it isn't exactly the social event of the year, it's still good to see people that you love and care about over the years. But if you ever been to a funeral, you know the protocol that's on the way, right? You take your big, deep breaths, and you do a little bit of mental preparation for the festivities of the day, and maybe even get some tears out in private before you show up. It's the same concept as pre-game and going to a bar, taking a few shots before you go out just to loosen up and make sure everything is gonna go good, right? You do a little bit of funeral prep in your own mind, but no amount of pre-funeral prep could prepare me for exactly what I would end up witnessing on this day. And you're talking to someone whose life is defined by personal tragedies and just littered with funerals galore. I've seen some shit. In fact, when my own fiance died, at her service, her father ended up showing up with a transvestite hooker as his date. Now, don't get me wrong, who he shows up with is his own business. Woman, man, tranny, I don't give a fuck. But you don't show up to your daughter's funeral with a fucking hooker, especially one that you pay to peg you in the asshole. So, suffice it to say that I thought I've been prepared for the worst, since I've seen up until what I thought now was the worst funeral behavior possible. I was wrong. Dead wrong, in fact. You see, my two friends, who are like brother and sister to me growing up, right? They're more brother and sister to me than my own flesh and blood brother and sister, actually. They've been hooked on prescription pain medication for quite a long time. I've talked about it in my Road to 30, but anybody that knows painkillers like Percocets and Oxycontins, you know that these are opiate-based medications. I mean opiate, meaning derived from opium, meaning, yes, derivative from the same plant that heroin and morphine are made from. It's just packaged up in a legal, prescribable pill form. And doctors prescribe it like it's candy. It's actually an epidemic at the moment. One that's already killed both my aunts, now both my mothers, and is making a beeline for what's essentially my brother and sister in life. And I don't think there's anything I can do to help them. If you remember from my Road to 30, my one aunt, she worked at an assisted living facility. She started off with easy access to painkillers of all sorts, but eventually it wasn't enough and she moved up to heroin, ended up taking a hot shot that killed her instantly in her mid-30s. My second aunt died of heart problems in her early 40s thanks to extended years of taking opium-based painkillers. She was also a pretty big fan of cocaine at times, don't get me wrong. Pretty sure that didn't help the cause, but the painkillers weren't doing her any favors at all. Recently, last year, my biological mother died of a Percocet overdose in her bed alone. It wasn't for a few weeks until anyone in her neighborhood noticed all the flies on the window that she was dead in her bed. And now we have my friend's mother, who, even though she didn't abuse opiate-based medication to the point that my mom, my aunts, and her children do, being prescribed opium-based medications for the last 15 years definitely had to be a contributing factor to why she had a fatal heart attack in her mid-50s. And it scares the shit out of me, because these are easily obtainable medications that have the same potent ingredient as heroin, but without the social stigma of heroin. You see, one of the best things about heroin is that when you hear the word heroin, it's considered dirty, diabolical, and it just has that name association with the type of people that you would assume to do heroin. It automatically brings up images of somebody laying on the street, AIDS infested with no place to go. When in reality, the new face of heroin addicts in America are pill-popping suburbanites that have no fucking clue what they're putting in their bodies. Like, even if you go out in the hood, you're looked down on for doing heroin. But shit like Percocet and codeine cough syrup, that shit's lit, son. Both of them are both opiate-based derivatives. It's basically legal heroin, and it's terrifying watching someone try to function while fucked up on them, because on a day where I should have been mourning the loss of the only woman that's ever treated me like a mother, instead, I'm sitting here having to mourn the loss of my two best friends growing up, because I know deep down in my heart, it's very possible that one of them are gonna be the next person that I visit in a casket. Now, I can't sit by and watch them slowly kill themselves. I can't. It's bad enough that at the funeral, I had to spend my time ushering my boy outside because he started rolling a blunt in the middle of the service because he was so fucked up on painkillers that he forgot where he was. Or that his sister had to be ushered out of the service by her own son because she was nodding out and repeatedly saying the same thing while standing in front of everyone giving her eulogy of her mother fucked up on Percocets. Not to mention that while I was driving her mother's car during the funeral procession, both of them nodded out so bad that I legitimately thought that we were gonna have to call the police to come in and Narcan them back to life. That's how deep this shit goes, and I can't do it. I won't do it. I've seen so many people die and ruin their lives because of these fucking painkillers. I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit here and let any of y'all motherfuckers that watch my channel make the same mistakes in life. So if there's only one thing that I can stress to all of you, every single one of you, especially the young guys out there that are growing up, have fun, get fucked up, enjoy yourself. Just remember, no pills, no powders, no needles, alright? That shit will kill you eventually, and trust me, it's not a pretty thing to witness at all.